Good evening and welcome. This is a regular meeting of the City Planning Commission. When the petition, special land use, or site plan approval request in which you are interested in is called, please come forward after the staff introduces the case. Please give your name and address to the secretary for the record. After the appellant's presentation, others may comment. An affirmative vote of the majority of the members present is necessary to grant a petition, special land use, or site plan approval. Recommendations on all petitions made by the commission are then forwarded to City Council. If there are no further questions, the secretary will call roll and then the first item of business.
Jones.
Here.
Zawerko.
Here.
Nash.
Here.
Nightingale.
Present.
Hanley.
Here.
Bryant.
Present.
Doan. We have a quorum.
Okay, first order of business would be our approval of minutes from the meeting held May 23rd, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve minutes?
So moved. Support.
Minutes approved. Next order of business would be public comment. Moving on now to our new business, public hearing case number J170026, recommendation to council to vacate an alley in Block 40, Saginaw Improvement County's Addition I.
This is an alley that's bounded by Salt on the west, Holmes on the north, and Stanley on the south. The east part of this alley was vacated a couple of times, I believe, in the 1940s and 1970s. The reason for this vacation is there are a couple of parcels to the north that are owned by the Saginaw County Land Bank. The land to the south is owned by a private person who would like to purchase those lots to the north, but the land bank has a policy of not selling lots unless they are adjacent to the land already owned, and the alley blocks those parcels from being adjacent. Now, the part of that alley that has not been vacated is the west 250 feet. We only want to vacate the east 100 feet of that alley. The west 150 feet, it looks like one or two of the residents use that alley to get back to their garages, and we didn't want to interfere with that. There are no utilities under the alley, so there's no reason to keep an easement for any utilities because there is nothing under there. We checked with Consumers Energy, and engineering also reviewed that and affirmed that there aren't any utilities under there. So what we want to do is vacate the east 100 feet of the west 250 feet of that alley.
So this is a question for future reference. So you're saying the land bank does not like to sell land if the property is not adjacent to it, correct?
Right.
So you're saying if somebody lived on the east side of the street or on the west side of the street, the land bank wouldn't sell the land on the west side of the street across the street?
That's true. There are some minor exceptions to that, but for the most part, they will not sell it because one example is some people have asked me they want to buy a lot across the street to put a garage there. Well, then you end up with a garage without a main building on the same lot, and that garage can end up being sold separately, and some people would want to run a car repair shop out of it or something like that. So that's one of the main reasons that they won't do that. Because our ordinance says that you cannot build an accessory building like a garage without a main structure on the building to begin with.
Okay, this is still for future reference. So if you build a garage and basically had an apartment in it, technically wouldn't that be a residence?
No, you can't have a residence in an accessory building.
What if you call it a house?
If they can meet all of the criteria, then I suppose they'd have to, the minimum structure for a house in the city is 864 square feet. So I suppose if they could meet all of the requirements in the building code, that then it would be allowed.
So no tiny houses on the TV series would be here, right?
We've talked about that, and I kind of, because of a request from a resident of the city who bought a couple of lots on Cherry Street, I did scope out about a 4 or 5 block area where if it went through the planning commission and council, it could be rezoned for something like that. I don't think we have a big opposition to doing something like that, but after the person who requested it got into what he wanted into the house went from 400 square feet to 900 square feet, so it met the minimum requirements. So we have not had any other requests. I know that a lot of other cities have designated certain areas for tiny houses, and I think that's something that we could work on in the future, but we really haven't had any requests to do that.
Any discussion? At this point then, I would like to ask for a motion to vacate the east 100 feet of the alley bounded by Holmes on the north, Salt on the west, and Stanley on the south. The part of the alley to the east, as stated, was vacated years ago. Do we have a motion?
Yep. I move that we approve case 170026 as written by the city with no additional changes.
Support?
Support.
Yes, vote.
Case 170026 is approved and supported by our city planning commission. Next case.
Hold on. You need to have a vote on that, but before you do that, you have to ask 3 times because this is a public hearing, you have to ask 3 times if there is anyone who would like to comment on this case.
Is there anyone in attendance that would like to comment on this case? Second request, is there anyone in attendance that would like to comment on this case? And third request, is there anyone present that would like to comment on this case? Would now like to ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Case 170026, recommendation to city council whether or not to vacate part of the alley is approved. Okay, next order of business would be case number J170012, recommendation to council to rezone the southwest side of the 1800 block of East Genesee.
This is also a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
No, just first you have to announce that it's a public hearing.
Oh, this is a public hearing.
Okay.
Is there any public comment?
Okay. This case came about at the corner of Remington and East Genesee where JoJo's Chicken was, and I believe a couple other restaurants previous to that. I had a request to have that as a used car lot. And under the B1 zoning, a used car lot was not allowed. Under a B2 zoning, a used car lot would be allowed. Now, I believe it was the block to the south is already B2, and the block to the north of this block is industrial at this point. In this block, just so that you're familiar with it, on the north there is a house, then there's Rib Shack. Then there's a vacant building that was a dollar store at one time, and then there's a building that was JoJo's Chicken. Now, if you decide to rezone this to B2, the applicant will come back to you with the site plan for the used car lot, and they're aware of it if you decide to rezone this. The main difference is that the B2 will allow a few additional, not a lot, but a few additional uses that a B1 does not allow. Some are slightly larger businesses, so it may give more opportunity to that building that was also a dollar store at one point to have something there as well. So this is not like a spot zoning because it is adjacent to a B2 district to the south. One of the requirements, the property to the west in this entire block is zoned R1. And just like as it has been with a B1, there must be a fence, a 6-foot fence built between the residential property and the commercial property.
At this time, that pretty much exists, doesn't it? At that
Yes,
site?
as far as I'm aware it is. I know JoJo's does have a fence there now.
What is the zone at the corner of Holland and East Genesee?
I don't have that on the map, but I think, well, the north part would be B2 because that's the next block south of this property.
So that's-
And then the next one to the south, I think I've discussed this with a couple of people, that's zoned industrial at this point. Because there have been some questions regarding all of the cars there, and those are allowed in an industrial area.
I think those cars on that side of Holland are part of the business on the north side of Holland.
That's what I've understood
Yes, yeah.
too.
Because we have the oil change on the one corner, correct, and then on the other corner, it's like a Pennzoil or something, isn't it?
And the other corner is residential, the other corner is a takeout restaurant, a Mexican restaurant.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, the one structure at one time was a Tuffy muffler repair shop, I believe, which is, it's still now a repair shop, it's just not under the
Yes.
Tuffy umbrella.
It's another black down. It's one more black down.
That's at Holland and Genesee.
Holland, Genesee, and then I'm coming back this way.
Okay, you're coming back north,
Yeah, north.
okay.
Those four corners. There'd be the old churches, there'd be like it was the old chicken coop. If anybody remembers what the chicken coop was. But you have, across the street, you have a Mexican restaurant. Then the other corner is residential.
So would there be any reason not to zone this as B2?
Well, there was some question, I believe it was in 2000, there was a Holland corridor plan that was prepared by Michigan State University to try to improve that entrance to the city. And that area actually stretched from East Genesee west to Sheridan, I believe. And one of what they looked at in that study was the type of businesses that were lacking in that area. And in the 1 mile study, the 5 mile study, and the 10 mile study, it all showed that one of the things that area was lacking were car dealerships. So actually this fits into that plan, which surprised some of the people that brought it up, but it did fit into that
And
plan.
then when you said, I think at the previous conversation, you said before 1982 it was zoned for something else. That corner
I'm not sure.
is historically where this JoJo's Chicken, Church's Chicken slash JoJo's Chicken slash another chicken. I remember it was a
Atlantic
gas
Chicken.
station. That was a Shell gas station, I think. That was Church's.
And when you said the chicken coop, that went way back.
Oh, that chicken coop. They did good corn dogs.
Any further discussion or questions?
Mike, do you know how long has that been vacant for?
I believe they closed between 2 and 3 years ago. They weren't open very long.
I think it was closed longer before, well, it
It had been closed for quite a while before that as
Right.
well.
Because
Originally, it
churches
was
went
built
out.
as churches.
Yeah.
It kicked for a long time, and then, I don't know what happened.
There was another restaurant in there
And
too.
something else came in that worked for a while. and
Mhm.
JoJo's was in there that worked for that. I think JoJo's basically got kind of, it was almost exactly the time, what's the place out on, is it Popeye's Chicken?
Oh, Popeye's chicken.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
Oh,
they
yeah.
both
Okay.
opened simultaneously.
Okay.
And I think that pretty much did in JoJo's.
Mm.
Out at Holland and out at Drive.
Okay.
Once again, back to our public comment portion. We will ask 3 times if there's anyone here that has any questions or concerns regarding case 170012. For a second time, we will request any public comment. And for a third and final time, if there is anyone present that would like to make comment, your final chance for case number 170012. With no comment, I would ask for a motion, recommendation to the city council to rezone the southwest side of the 1800 block of East Genesee from B1 local business to B2 general business. This is a public hearing. We have a motion.
I move that we approve case 170012 as written by the city to encompass that entire block to B2.
Do we have support?
That's for.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Case number 170012 is approved. Next on our agenda, old business. Staff, do we have any old
We
business?
do have one small issue under old business, and I'd like Yolanda Jones to speak on it.
Okay. Good evening. Today, we're passing out the 2017-18 capital improvement plan as provided by the Planning Commission. My office actually starts working on this plan in October, so it's right around the corner again to bring this before you. The City Council has approved the 2017-18 budget with many of these plans, many of these items included. The very first page is basically a summary of what's going to happen. And then the second page provides you with the ranking that we discussed when we presented it to you back in January. Whoever participated, their ranking was placed there. An average ranking was given, and then we indicated which ones are underway. For your convenience, we have updated the document with the rankings, the average ranking. So this is basically for your information, and like I said, we'll start the next one in October. We plan to provide it to you by January of 2018 so that you can provide your ranking. I know that one of the issues that came up, and this being our first time, was the city's ability to pay for a lot of these projects. And as you can see from what we've presented to you, that this was taken into consideration and was placed, some of it was already in the budget. So we appreciate your participation in this, and just know that it's coming again, and we're open to any recommendations and changes. That's it.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Somewhat related to this issue, I've had a couple of conversations with the city engineer, and she realizes the problems that we're having with the streets and keeping those up to date. And there are people that are out, that work for the city, that are out every day in the process of that, looking at what streets need to be worked on. But she said she would highly welcome recommendations from the Planning Commission as well as to any streets that the Planning Commission feels really needs some work. Now, anything that you recommend would probably be 2 to 3 years in the future at least, because they've already got everything set for the next year. But sometimes if it's a smaller project, they may have a little extra money if they come in under budget on something else. So they are very willing to listen to the Planning Commission on that as well.
I already gave them one recommendation.
One thing to also point out as Mike talks about it, is to remember that the state of Michigan gave additional monies to go towards major and local streets. The fiscal year 18 budget does include funding for local streets, which hasn't been there in a very long time. They're expecting funds come from the state to increase up until fiscal year 2020.
Any further questions or comments? That concludes our old business. If there is no further business, would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support.
Adjourn.